All right. Welcome to another episode of Corner Memoirs of the Service Industry. And on this week's episode, I invited two friends of mine on, Lauren and Lilly. And we talk about community, especially the community of downtown Los Angeles. And they're doing something kind of really special. Before COVID, they had a night at the restaurant, at the bar that they work at called Falls, called Tribe Night. And it was an all-inclusive night where one could go and feel like themselves without any judgment. And it's important that we talk about it because I think some of the things that we forget when we're living in this COVID world is that the fact that so much of what we do is community building. We all talk about that Cheers bar, right? That place where the community can come after work or on any evening and feel like they're part of something bigger. And right now, with so much of us, out of work, some of that's missing. And so I wanted to talk about some of that bar community downtown and what they're trying to do. And I think it's a really great perspective to have. And we also kind of get into a little bit of, where we see the industry going and some changes hopefully we see moving forward for the better. So sit back, enjoy, and let's get into service. All right. You're listening to Corner Memoirs of the Service Industry, a podcast set out to document the lives of those who work in service and hospitality. I'm Eric Chopo, and I'll be running the front of the house tonight. I'm a 22-year vet in the bar and restaurant scene and have worked and managed everything from Michelin star restaurants to dive bars and everything in between. I'm sitting down with members of our industry to talk about why they love doing what they do and share some stories along the way. Around every corner is a new story, a new hire, and a new experience. Hi, ladies. How are you?
Hi. Good. How are you?
I'm good. Welcome to my podcast.
Thanks,
so this is a first. This is the first time I've had two guests on at the same time. Lauren and Lilly, for the audience at home, are friends of mine. They're a couple here downtown. They're bartenders. They're bar managers. Safe to say activists of sorts, like community organizers. So cool. Welcome to the show. How are you guys doing? Good?
Yeah.
Good.
Right. She made an interesting cocktail.
What are you drinking on?
It's a beer cocktail.
Oh, okay.
Strawberries, blueberries, lemon, orgeat, red berry vodka, and watermelon mango cart beer.
That sounds actually really good. Not enough beer cocktails in the world.
It's like a popsicle. I was like, so you gave me candy. Right.
We're still in this lockdown here in Los Angeles for the listening audience at home. So how have you guys been keeping yourselves busy in this downtime?
Lauren's been doing all of that behind us.
Plants.
Just planning.
All the plants.
And I just build the things for her to put it on.
Nice.
She builds me rolling plant racks that I get to decorate.
So let's talk about, okay, so Lauren, you and I met 5 years ago, 6 years ago, something like that, downtown. When did you move downtown first?
It was 2010.
Okay, so like
October of 2010 is when I started at Bar 107.
Right, so in that first wave of people, I was down in 2009. So, and then like moved to Arts District in 2011. So, that first wave of us downtown in the what do they call it? The Renaissance of downtown. I think that's what GQ magazine called it or something. For those who aren't familiar with downtown Los Angeles, before about 2008, 2009, there was nothing going on downtown. It was just a ghost land, And
the stoplights used to blink, flash red at like 9:00.
Yeah. Just that's just, you usually find those in rural towns.
Yeah.
So when you see it in a city, it's like nothing's going on after business is closed. So a bunch of us, serendipitously kind of all came downtown at the same time. And that was right around that time. So, I know people lived downtown before us, but I call that like the OG crew of people who moved down here. And so 107, awesome bar downtown for folks who don't know. Rest in peace.
So sad.
It's definitely a much needed bar these days. That's for sure. I do miss the hell out of that place.
It was a staple. It was an institution. We were alive and kicking for 10 years.
Yeah.
Been closed down for 4 or 5 now.
Right when I moved here, they took the fun away.
Yeah, she never got to go to 107.
Oh no.
It was the worst. Everybody has all these memories, and I just sit there with like the poutiest face, like, awesome, great, good to know.
She hates hearing
gone
about
now.
I mean, we have B's other bar, which has similar stories, not anywhere near the same, but similar. I mean, I credit Bar 107 for downtown as a whole, right? So, Golden Gopher opened up, but it was alone on 8th Street by itself. But when 10 opened, it's right on the corner from where another restaurant was, for folks who don't know. And that restaurant didn't really do much of a dinner service because at night the streets get taken over from Skid Row, and people don't want to walk around the streets.
Are you talking about Pete's?
Yeah, Pete's.
Yeah.
Pete's was like a luncheon and happy hour crowd, but then
big bunch.
And then like right at like 8 or something, they were done. But when 10 came in and started kind of by its presence, kind of cleaning out that street a bit, because you got to keep in mind, people are trying to sleep on the streets, unfortunately, but they're trying to sleep.
Yeah, right.
So when you have a rowdy bar on your block where you're sleeping, you tend to find another block to sleep on. And so over time...
So that's what we need to do, is just get louder?
Just get loud.
That's the key. They can't go to sleep, they'll just go somewhere else.
Well, back then when there was honestly less people on the street than unfortunately there are now. But and then slowly but surely Pete started extending their hours, and then all of a sudden Pete's became like the Cheers of downtown, and the twisted sister of Cheers was Bar 107, and good times. So you guys live together, right? You're a couple and you work together. How has it been working together?
It was definitely, it was something that we fought for so long. I remember like being hired at Wendell, like she was already working at Wendell, and I was just doing the boards and all the like graphic stuff and their menus for them. And then one day somebody called out, and then the next day I went to do the board and that person called out again, and they were just like fired instantly. And the manager was like, I have nobody to bartend tonight. This is horrible. And I looked at it and I was like, well, I barred.
They're like, you spend enough time here, you already know where everything is.
I've already kept your lights on for you. I might as well sling a drink or two if you want. Yeah. And it started off kind of slow, and then it was like, it's fine, no problem. However, you and Lauren cannot work together. And we both agreed. We immediately were like, no, I don't want to work with her. I already live with her and see her all day. We're not doing that. It's not happening. And then what was it? One night someone called out Adam, I think it was.
Adam Jones called out. And we were forced to work a shift together, and forced against our will. And the owner at the time, Stan, came in. He was like, well, I don't know if this is going to work. And he just like sat at the end of the bar and just watched us the whole time. And 20 minutes into it, he was like, all right, you guys are fine. Shots.
So that leads you then, and then unfortunately, Wendell's closed suddenly, and
November of 2019.
Yes,
I believe.
Yes.
And like you guys literally just got like a text message. You got a text message from the door guy, right?
From Charlie Paulson.
Yeah.
The door guy.
Working with you. I was like, where are you going? He's like, we're all not going anywhere.
We thought he was quitting.
Yeah. And I was just like, wait, what? And then it's like, apparently it's closed. He came in and just said, we're closed down.
Wow.
And I looked at Lauren and I was like, so I'm not going into work today? Awesome. Like, yeah, you're off. Good to know. I was getting ready.
But no warning, no notice, no conversation. Just kind of,
That always hurts when that happens, man. Like
thankful that we had another job and didn't solely rely on that, because it really was pretty heartbreaking,
Yeah.
But then you did transition into management at another bar at the Falls, right? So
I was already working at the Falls. I've worked at the Falls for about 7 years.
Okay. Were you managing both, or were you just slinging at Falls and
I
then
was just slinging at Falls?
Yeah. And we were managing. Wendell's.
Managing one. Yeah. You're like the only two employees.
We weren't getting paid for it.
But doing the work.
But loved it so much that we were like, we need to keep the doors open. Where's everybody going to go?
Yeah.
Like, we want to see all of our friends. Like what's going to happen if this actually doesn't work?
That Friday before we closed was actually Friday the 13th. And I had a DJ lined up and everything ready to go. And then that Monday we get that text message like, we're done.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I have mixed feelings about that. Like Wendell was when 107 closed and I moved outside the arts district. So Escondite was a little further out from where I could kind of just comfortably go in a couple of minutes. Wendell was my bar. Like I sat at that bar from the beginning of them opening. Gina's band was the first band and I think the only band to ever play there at
on the upstairs.
Yeah. They christened that place as for the anniversary party. I say it rivaled Spring Street for the neighborhood bar for a good solid year. I think ultimately Spring Street wins just because I think people just like walking down and nobody lived on top of Wendell. So they just walk downstairs.
I mean, we live on top of Spring too. So
yeah. But that's kind of brings up the point that, why I always liked those early years of downtown was the community that we were. Like it was everyone knew each other, you become friends just through the fact that you're a regular or you become friends with your regulars downtown and
meeting each other's dogs, you know.
It's also funny when you have a moment of like, I got to run to CVS. I'm going to use the alley because I'm going to be stopped and I'm not going to make it to CVS for at least an hour.
Yep. I mean, you can't walk 2 blocks.
You're like looking a mess and you're like, don't talk to me. I don't see you.
Yeah. You couldn't walk 2 blocks without like stopping 10 times to talk to me.
I was walking down the alley. This was like a year ago or something. We were walking down the back alley and someone from some balcony in one of the SB buildings shouted down to me, 107. And I was like, where did that come from?
That's awesome.
It was pretty cool.
So, all right, Wendell closes. You guys now take over the Falls, and are you both in charge, or is there now a power dynamic?
So, like I said, I was already working there for so long. I had moved to Costa Rica. Actually, I lived there for a year, and I've lived back in the country for 2 years. They instantly rehired me back at the Falls. So when Wendell closed, obviously they already knew who Lily was. She was in all the time, hanging out on my shifts and stuff,
Right.
And we had an amazing manager at the time, Arthur Capone, and we were looking to hire someone new. And Arthur says, what about Lily? And I was like, fuck no. Are you kidding?
Even though we had already worked at Wendell, that was such a different vibe.
I was like, Falls was that was mine,
Yeah, but also Wendell was such a different vibe because similar to 107, like it was local and it's like tall beers and just like beer and shots. People are like, I want a mojito. I was like, get out of here. There's no leaves in here. Yeah. Like it's not going to happen. Like it was just a very like, have a shot, have a drink or whatever, like loud ruckus, turn and burn kind of place. Yeah. So Falls is a lot more cocktail forward. Yeah. And Lauren's like, well, I mean, I know that you can make some drinks, but like this is a lot more and this is like my baby. And also I don't usually like bring people in. I never have, and I don't do recommendations.
I don't vouch for lightly. I just don't want my name on it. Like if they mess up, I have no control over that, and then it makes me look bad. And I've worked really hard for 13 years bartending in LA.
Yeah.
Just like
it's understandable. So and the funny thing is, even though he already asked her, he's still like behind her back was like, "Would you be able to work here?" And I'm like, "No." I was like, I don't think Lauren would like that at all.
It was interesting though. So when it came time that he was actually seriously considering bringing Lily on the team, he looks at me and he's like, how do you feel about this? And I was like, I'm not signing off on this.
Right.
And he was like, good girl. And he was like testing me, to make sure.
You bring her in at your own risk at this point.
Yeah. I have nothing to do with it.
Me in the background. Doe-eyed and confused. Huh?
What are you guys talking about?
What am I doing?
Yeah, I mean, I've been burnt vouching for people for sure. Yeah. But I kind of talked in one of the early episodes. I was like, kind of the great thing about this industry is the like, oh, this guy's great, bring him on, and there's like no interview, there's no resume, handing off. It's just like this guy says you're good, let's go. And they're like, cool. Just show me where the ice machine is and I can figure everything else out.
Sure.
You know? There's something you said about how awesome that is, unlike other
your
jobs.
Professional reputation.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
As what you did with me when you were looking for someone. Lauren's like, I'm like mid-burger. She's like, Lily can do it. I'm like, oh, girl.
Yep.
Okay.
Exactly. I mean, I honestly at Clayton's. So for those who Lily worked for me for a brief period of time at Clayton's before everything. And then I honestly think that like 60% of the staff there, like front of the house staff, was kind of like a conversation. It wasn't like, oh, your resume is stellar. Like, in fact, most people who worked there were new to LA. Like it was their first job in LA, which for the record, nobody does. Nobody hires. If I can't look at your resume and I don't see something that I know on there, you're not getting a job no matter how great it is. Or if it's not something I know, and I know a lot of managers like that. Like if they don't see a bar that they recognize, like you're probably not getting past that step. But I was kind of building something and they all lived around downtown. So I'm nostalgic for the old days of downtown and saw so many people move out. So I was like, oh yeah, a new group of kids. We can mold them in our likeness. And, and they can be like
better, stronger, drunker, faster.
Exactly. So what was it? Like Ashkan from San Diego, first time in LA, Brandon, first job in LA, Erin, her first job in LA. And then a couple of people who didn't last very long at the same time. And so, you win some, you lose some in that regard. But I was trying to build something with that because I think the community aspect of downtown, at least in the mainstream aspect of it, was kind of dwindling. Rents were going up and some, social political stuff happening downtown with like, emptying the jail. So Skid Row started to fill back up, and we could talk literally. I can have a whole show about that because I'm very opinionated on all. But you started seeing the community start to dive down. But you two have been building a community within your own social circles downtown because a couple of bars were popping up, and I brought you on to kind of talk about that because I think community is a really big part of the industry and what we do, and then building neighborhoods up within food and beverage, I think is kind of why our industry is important. So
being able to use that as a platform, as a stage, as, a tool.
Yeah.
So you guys have founded Tribe. Am I correct in that? Right. So you want to talk about it a little bit? Because I will probably just butcher it to hell. So
it's all good. It's called Tribe Tuesday, and it's at the Falls, and it's an all-inclusive LGBTQIA forward night. So we rely on our allies and friends and anyone that just wants to be a part of the tribe.
Awesome.
Everyone's welcome. There's no hate. There's no judge. It's a safe space. That was kind of our goal, was just creating a new safe space downtown that you can just come, you can be yourself, and you can, rock your heels and your nail polish if you're a guy. And we will tell you that we love you and you are absolutely beautiful,
Awesome.
And we had a couple of people that only felt comfortable
coming on that
night and being able to express themselves in a way that, unfortunately, they didn't feel that they could in another space, So essentially Tribe was born. It stands for Trust, Respect, Interact, Be Empowered,
awesome.
Which Lily came up with, and it's stunning. I added. We were just once a week. It was just every Tuesday. We were sponsored by Stoli.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Stoli's amazing, and we worked a lot with a wonderful human being named Patrick, and he's the national LGBT brand ambassador for Stoli.
Oh, great.
He was great.
He was wonderful.
I think what I loved the most about it was, as you were saying, still some of our closest friends are people who knew Lauren from 107 and have gotten to know me from drinking on one side of the bar and then serving them on the other side of the bar.
I'm still drinking on that side too.
And still drinking on that side also. Because that's my favorite part. I was like, I love that I can drink all
everyone's favorite part.
Whenever it's like no drink, I'm like, oh man, how am I going to get through this shift? Great.
Yeah.
But I remember being excited about the fact that so many of those old school OG downtown family that I've known forever, the moment they heard about it, they're just like, well, I'm straight, but hell yeah, I want to support you and I want to come see it. And they just showed up every Tuesday like clockwork. And I was excited about the fact that the one thing is that we have wonderful gay bars in downtown, but we didn't want people to shy away from the fact of calling it a gay night. And that was something that we were like, no, it's going to be an all-inclusive and it doesn't matter who you are. I mean, it was wonderful when it started to pick up and like a couple like would come in and like the burliest like Marine man is like dancing on stage with one of our like boylesque assless chaps guys and having the time of his life while his wife is like pink in the face laughing so
and videotaping him.
And videotaping like you're never gonna live this down. And he's like, worth it. Picks up the guy on the cheek. It's like the funniest thing ever. Like everyone had like wonderful experiences. Our staff was great. The security was very, very well trained.
Yeah, security was wonderful. And our owner as well, Michelle Marini, who owns the falls.
Right.
She has just been so supportive and uplifting and just like whatever you need to make Tribe happen, let's do it. Like she's been just an absolutely incredible.
Oh, when she showed up, it was also hilarious. She had like the time of her life. She was laughing so hard. And then whenever it's like the end of it and we take a photo, she's like, no. And we're like, get over here. Smiling. But the security thing was very important. And I remember the first night we actually did it. And it was something that happened without me even having to like do anything. And it was when someone came in and sat down next to someone who was wearing heels and said, you're a dude, why are you wearing heels? And immediately security walked in and said, finish your drink, you can't do that here.
Yeah.
Awesome. And he's like, what? I just wanted it. He's like, nope, you're not allowed to ask that question here.
Yeah.
You gotta go.
Yeah, no.
Walk in and just get to know the person next to you like you would anyone else. Like you don't question so many things.
Yeah. That's good.
That was great.
Yeah.
No fights, no issues.
No fight. Yeah, we never had a single fight. And if anyone knows the falls, it can get rowdy there.
Yeah.
You know?
It's a very small lounge that crams a lot of people in it. And it's just a recipe for potential disaster on any given night. And especially
handle that on the weekends. It's crazy sometimes.
Yeah, especially when it's like you have to go to the basement and it's like I'd carry like a 24-pack of Modelo's over my head. And it's like, are you okay? And I was like, well, I just got pregnant 3 times and I couldn't get through. Like, everyone humped me from every direction. I need a second. But I don't have a second. Go make that drink.
Exactly. Yeah. One of the reasons I think that was like, there was a void that happened a couple of years back, at least from outside looking in, is when like Mustache Mondays went away because Nacho tragically died. And then that was also kind of on its way out anyways. It kind of, in the early days of downtown, that was like every Monday night at, La Cita. It was that was kind of a similar thing. I think it might've been a little less inclusive for allies, as you said, but I think it still was like so many people just went there because it was a fun night.
Party. Yeah.
And so there's, I think, being the people who throw the parties is kind of why we do this for the most part. Like I know for me and a lot of people I talk to, like the notion of being there and facilitating somebody else's good time in turn makes you feel good. And then you take that and then also are making people feel comfortable with their own identity is hugely important. So
kind of how we touched on before as far as like being a bartender and using your occupation as kind of a tool, a platform to kind of like catapult into something else is basically what we used.
Definitely. We
were given the gift to use Falls for Tribe. And something that we didn't mention before is that being sponsored by Stoli, we would donate like $1 for every Stoli drink to charity.
Awesome.
So we would have kind of like monthly rotating charities, and we would hold raffles and auctions and all sorts of things. And 100% of that went to charity.
That's great.
It was wonderful because whenever we just simply mentioned to friends, like, oh, like we want to have a raffle table, but we don't know. And it's like, Polished is like, no problem. The owner was like, here you go. We'll give you 3 free mani-pedis. No
Nancy
issue.
from Polish was just amazing. And she would always donate.
Yeah.
She would always donate for our auction.
Bella from Round 2 LA.
Bella from Round 2
Round
LA.
2 LA would just donate a bag full of like goodies with LGBT like little paraphernalia in there. But everybody always like came together and said, here, Stoli's like give away these Stoli Elite bottles or whatever, bags, beach towels, whatever it was. And it was just fun to see people get excited and be able to like buy the raffle tickets, and when they won, just like lose their shit. It was awesome.
That's great. I mean, also when you're building relationships within small businesses as well, which is hugely important because we're all kind of, especially in a town like downtown, unlike, some places in LA. For context, for people who aren't familiar, like downtown is 12 square blocks. Like it extends a little bit, but the historic core is about like 12 square blocks. And a lot of it is big commerce. So a lot of it's like financial jewelry district. There's big, but in the neighborhoods that we were all in is like, it's literally bar, business, like mom and pop business, bar, mom and pop business, bar, and repeat.
Yeah.
So we're all kind of in it together. And then you guys are right in the heart of it. So you're kind of become on this night as just a beacon for the entire, neighborhood, which is awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
So before all this, were you starting to like build that out into more of, and it's just instead of one night at one bar, but like, start kind of as a bigger organization?
We were in the process of right in the process of actually like getting excited to maybe even move Tribe to go to other locations on different nights because Falls already has their specific Wednesday, Thursday, Fridays. They already have that laid out. So it was just being able to take it to other locations on a different night.
Escondite was actually going to be our first one.
Yes,
where we expanded Tribe to. Brian was all about the idea.
He showed up visiting from Seattle and was like, "Oh, this is fucking awesome. This is great. We should do this." And we were like, "When you move back, we'll do it." And he was like, "Oh, my wife loves drag queens."
We had our sponsorship, we had our host, we had our show, we had our talent, we had literally everything ready to go. And unfortunately, COVID hit. So
yeah. And it was unfortunate, but I think I'm more sad that hopefully it picks back up again. We don't know what's going to happen in the future, but similar to what you were saying in terms of like downtowns and community, Tribe was so successful because of who we know and how they feel about us and how much they love us and we love them, that the connection was made through a friend Lauren's had forever, Tracy, and we got that connection, spoke to them, they met through us. And then we got invited to have a pop-up at DTLA Proud, which only does specific to gay bars. And we're not a gay bar, it's just a night. But he was like, I love what you're doing. And we donated to DTLA Proud close to like $3,000.
That was our very first charity. We ran for I think about 3 months, one night a week, and we did $3,000 to help open the new DTLA Proud Community Center.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy just to think that 12 days we were able to raise almost $3,000.
Yeah,
and they invited us in, and we felt like part of the community and part of the family. And then he helped us with things. Oliver, he's the one in charge of DTLA Proud. But all those connections were based off of like who we are and who they are and how we feel about each other. And we were given these great opportunities. And I was even shocked when we had when Stoli came out with the limited edition Stonewall bottle. There was like nobody could get those bottles, and like even like the top gay bars, they couldn't.
I think there were only about 40,000 created, distributed worldwide.
Wow.
And Stoli flew the artist that created the Stonewall label out from New York for our Tribe Night.
That's huge.
That's
awesome.
And she was signing bottles, and it was
it was insane. I was like, wait, what?
We have a bottle right there.
Oh, we do have a bottle over there. It's a promo moment.
Yeah.
It's very dusty because we will never open it.
We'll never open
Nice.
it.
That's awesome. That's huge.
But it was a cool moment. They're all signed. It made us feel special as Tribe. We're like, oh my God.
Well, I mean, that speaks to, you have a relationship with this rep outside of this thing. You have an idea. It aligns with the company, just so happens, right? And so why wouldn't you guys get the benefit? You're not like a gay bar, which it just always is doing, events like this. You're specifically doing this one-off thing at this one bar, which is hugely successful night. And I think it's a better it seems to be better PR for a company like Stoli than to just give to, your everyday bar, like,
sure. Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, if I was a rep, that's what I would do.
And it helped dramatically be appreciated that when we were first starting it, it's one of those of like, are you just trying to follow the gay dollar situation? We're like, no, right. This is going to be something that we give back.
Yeah.
And everyone who drinks and everyone who has fun, everyone is going to give back.
We have a purpose here. It's not just a party. Like it's to do some good too.
Yeah. I was at, when I was at Viper Room, and we have to still kind of get those dates figured out. If I was there before or after you, I'm not entirely sure.
You were probably there before me. I was there pretty recent.
Okay, so I was there their 21st year. The shirt that I was wearing last night when I was with you guys, that's from her 21st birthday. So I was there 15, 16. I don't know. They all blend together. These.
That's what alcohol does to you.
Yeah, we because the time. My buddy Brad Robinson was the director of operations, and he lived downtown, and he knew about Mustache Monday. We tried to recreate it at the Viper Room. We're like, oh, you were in West Hollywood, and it's the Viper Room. We're going to take this DTLA thing. No, it was a disaster. It was work.
Nope.
So we had this host, and I don't even know who she was, but prominent within West Hollywood culture, or whatever. She thought she was important, and she was getting free drinks all night and complaining they weren't strong enough. And I'm like, let's pour 2 ounces here. You're not getting an ounce and half of vodka. You're getting 2 ounces. You're getting as max as I can get, and you're not paying for them. And I remember going into the office and pulling Nacho, and I'm like, I don't give a fuck who this lady is or who you think she is or who she thinks she is. But if she continues to complain about her free drinks, I'm going to kick her the fuck out of here myself. And he's like, I'll go talk to her. It didn't fit. Like, it's like Viper Room, as much as I love it, at that time was still felt very like rock and roll frat boy. So it was just kind of like,
what year were you there?
I think it was either 2014 or 15. Maybe 16.
And I think I was there 16, 17. I was right after you.
Yeah.
It was right before I moved to Costa Rica.
Was Mitch working there? Was he your boss?
Yeah. And oh God, what's his name? Tommy.
And Tommy Black. Yeah. So Mitch was one of the managers there. Brad was there. He and the booker weren't getting along, and I won't get into it, but there was a longtime booker there, and she just was what she was, and it was they didn't get along, and so Harry Morton owned it at the time, so he said, "Hey, Brad, Pink Taco needs help," so he went to Pink Taco, and then Mitch took over. But it was kind of cool because we were all friends. And I talked about it, and I think the last episode I talked about how, like, when I went there, I was the first new hire outside of, cocktail servers. I was like the first new bartender hire in like 5 years.
Yeah.
So everyone was like, I had to like really win over that crew, and I did, and they're all awesome. But yeah. it was tough because it's like a family over there, but it just didn't, going back to that night, the night was just, it was oil and vinegar with like the crew that worked there and the clientele that was coming in and kind of what it's known for. So all the tourists that would come in, cause it wasn't like a closed off thing. I think it lasted 3 weeks and that was it.
That's too bad.
So again, more testament to, being successful, doing what y'all are doing. So, all right. Say the world opens back up tomorrow. What are the two of you? What are the plans?
Just get Falls up and running. Let's do this.
I mean, you guys have a kitchen though, right?
We do technically have a kitchen, which is kind of my office too.
But it's like a microwave.
We haven't served food in like 2 years.
Yeah. The flatbreads were awesome back in the day.
They were so
I
good.
know. Very disappointed.
They were so
very
good.
upset about missing out on my crab cakes.
Yeah. It's
so
been
good.
like a year and a half since we served food.
Yeah. I mean, and for those listening, the only way a bar is open right now is if they have a full-fledged kitchen and they're serving bona fide meals, not like chicken wings, but like an actual meal, which is stupid. Like,
plus our outdoor space is so limited there. We have a patio, but it's,
10 people.
To be able to socially distance on our patio would be like,
4 people.
5 people tops. So
yeah, it's not worth it.
We just can't right now.
I mean, I was talking with, for the listening audience, it was an owner downtown. I was talking with V, and she was like, "Oh, they're talking about maybe closing down Spring Street," and I'm like, "Yeah, that'd be dope. If Skid Row wasn't now on Main Street, and you could somehow be able to ensure the safety of your clients and your guests coming in. But if they do that, it'd be great because everyone could just have a big open seating area outside, and more places could."
Because it's what? Beelman's, Falls, Spring Street, LA Cafe.
Yep.
We could all.
And then you have all the actual food places that are still open. You have,
Ramen,
1986, Joe's Pizza. Yeah.
And then you just take over that whole strip, block it off to cars, I think it'd be great. I just think that, when you just go down a block, the tents have taken over Main Street, which is the next block down.
That's what we see outside of our window right here is Main Street. And we're just watching this encampment just grow and grow every day.
Yeah. So then safety becomes unfortunately a concern.
Sure. The logistics of it,
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll see. I think it'd be great. Honestly, I do. I think for Clayton's, which is also on Spring Street, just like one block up from you guys, I think we would benefit from that. We're in an arcade, so we can't really take too much of the arcade up because you need to still be able to walk in and out of it. But our patio social distancing is maybe like 5 tables, so it's still not worth it at that point.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. It bums me out. It just does,
I guess we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
All right. So I kind of ask my guests similar questions in the sense that one of the ones is, since we get this fresh start, we get to kind of potentially change the way business has been run and how the industry has been doing what they've been doing. Is there anything, if you had your way, if it was like your bar, you could rewrite the rules on how this industry works? Is there anything you would change when we reopen, given the opportunity?
That's a good question.
I don't think I would.
Okay.
To be honest. And I say that because the Falls is just such a well-oiled machine.
Yeah. That's the last comparison I have. Yeah.
I mean, we as the Falls have been there for 10 years.
Yeah.
Which, as you know, in downtown is kind of a milestone. I think it's just, such a well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
What about you?
I just want it open again. I just miss it. I miss seeing everybody. It went from 1 minute of like, oh God, I don't have the energy for this person to like, I wonder what their option is. I wish I could see their face right now. And I will actually buy you a shot, even though you annoyed the shit out of me for the longest time.
Yep.
I miss it. It went from like leave me alone.
I know
don't talk to
10
me.
people that she's talking about right now.
Almost
I can think of
they
a
walk
couple.
to the door, just jump on them with tears in my eyes and be like, "You're alive." It's making me just miss human contact, and even as a person, normally, if I have a choice, of course, I'm not going to go crazy and socialize. I'm not that social. I've never considered myself like that. Got to be friends with everybody.
Right.
But being a bartender, even when you're not in the mood for it, you just can't help it, and you get thrown into this talkative conversation, and you get to know people.
Sure.
And I miss that, being able to relate to so many people.
Just the kind of mindless banter too. Just conversation.
Exactly. Having a bad day and then seeing your friends walk in and it's like, I'm having a bad day, let's do a shot.
Yeah.
It's just sad.
It's instantly better.
Zoom, it's we try and we're like, here, but in my mind, I'm like, oh, this is the crappy alcohol because this is what I can afford.
I mean, in the beginning of quarantine, Zoom was a really great tool to use, to keep connected. But then we found personally that it became a little tedious, a little redundant in conversation of just so when do you guys think the bar is going to reopen? And we're like, so how's your day?
That's it.
I was like, I don't want to Zoom anymore. You know,
sometimes it just gets like quiet in the background. I was like, oh, they're still on. Okay, bye guys.
yeah,
it's like it's still going. Click off.
I have some friends who are like been diligent with their like Zoom get-togethers, and it's just always like damn it, we all know damn it's been doing like a weekly night, and I think he does it a couple nights a week, but they watch movies together when the fights happen. They're watching, and it's actually like a lot of fun. It's just that I'm like, there's a new movie on, like it's just so much more passive to sit on the couch and not like I have to put my laptop out, and then I actually have to like wear pants, 'cause what if I get up? It's just a whole thing.
No. And then you don't even know, because sometimes you have like when it's more than like 5 people, it's too much to where everyone starts talking. You immediately like flies in your ear, you're like whatever, and all of a sudden everyone's like, Lily, Lauren, oh, what? Lesbians, and then we're just like, is that us? Is somebody calling us? Like, I'm making dinner. I'm not even paying attention anymore. What's up?
Yep.
Did you hear us? No, I didn't hear all 6 of you. That was too much for me. It's difficult.
I gotcha.
So yeah, I actually miss being able to sit at a bar where it's crazy loud, but I could also just look at the person I'm talking to, and have a conversation.
Gently forced into that conversation, being a bartender. But
that's true.
Now we've come to really miss it.
Yeah, I mean
I'm ready to make like what is it? A Grey Goose and vodka.
Tito's and vodka.
Tito's and vodka. I'm ready to make a Tito's and vodka right now.
There's something to be said about like the, I'm being a manager and having to like touch tables and like deal with customers in a lot of times in a somewhat negative manner and like right any wrongs that they think that they have. You're like, oh, fuck, this job wears on me. But at the same time, now that we're so kind of insulated from everything and we don't have an outlet for a lot of it, I crave those interactions because it makes you forget what you're going through. Like you have to go singular focus on a customer and not have to like worry about like, am I going to make unemployment again? There's so much that we have to just, that any given day that we're worried about. And I think the distraction that we had as working in bars and restaurants, which is the customer and their needs, distracts us from our problems. That's what I miss the most, is being able to have that, distraction on a daily basis. Being able to
kind of turn on your autopilot.
Yeah.
I haven't used my autopilot in a long time,
Yeah, just be able to kind of like shut it down and just kind of be just like a response machine. Like, you don't even think about it. You're just like, oh yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah,
that whole thing.
Yeah.
I think I'm just also nervous, and we talk about it all the time. Like, obviously, what the future is going to look like.
Mm-hmm.
Wish it could go back to the way it was, but it's not going to. But I think in the few times of the cases when they have tried to open up, and obviously we're back on like another lockdown because nobody knows how to be responsible. It's one of those where like everyone's been cooped up for so long. The moment they get to go out, because it's not the same, they're like pouty children and they're so upset and they get so mad. Yeah. I remember thinking in my head, I'd give anything for there to be like a virtual game that I could stick on your head for like a minute, and you are a bartender.
Yeah.
And in that moment, the moment you put it on, you're in a full bar and everyone's yelling at you, saying, hey, snapping. I want them to slam their hands down. I want them to say, this is not the right drink.
And then your POS crashes.
And then I want you to turn around and nothing works.
Yep.
And or you turn around and the drink's not there. We don't have that bottle. Like, I want them to have 1 minute of all of it. And then they take it off and they're like, I'll have a beer. Whatever you have. I'm sorry. I want that moment of like, do you know what it's like? Right. And just like put them in that virtual reality for a second.
Did you see that commercial for like, it was a virtual reality for migraines?
No.
So it was like, Gina suffers from migraines. I used to back in my, like, I used to in like middle school take Ritalin. So it gave me like horrible migraines, but Gina suffers from them and they knock her out. And anyone who does suffer them knows what it's like. But those who don't have your head hurts, but like it's blinding. There's like, you literally can't see. There's not. So there was a simulator. It's like a commercial they put on like a VR headset, which caused all this all this feeling of kind of approximate what it would be like to have a migraine, and people take it off like, oh, I had no idea that you went through this all the time. That's essentially the same thing, but like for having everyone's
or like those fun
stream.
live tests that they've done on guys where they put like the little
a pregnancy simulator,
and they're just sitting there like,
they're
okay,
like, ah!
and then they just start screaming, they're like crying, and they're like rubbing their back, and it's like, why? Or like cramp. They did one for cramps, and the guys were just like holding a pillow. Their two friends were rocking back and forth, and the women are there like with the button, like, feel it.
Yeah.
So yes, we need a bartender.
Yes, we need a bartender one.
Yeah.
Just like 18 Karens screaming at you.
All the Karens.
You know what's okay? I mentioned this in another one. It's like I love that the world's catching on to Karen culture because they have been around for like ever in our industry. Like there's always been Karens. They just never had a name until now, but there was always just been like, you know, that customer. They're like, ugh. And they're always like middle-aged, frumpy white women. I don't know why. That's just the worst customers always.
Most unhappy of all people.
Yeah, it's true. Probably.
Now they're like banding together. Us Karens got to stick together. I was like, you're making it worse.
Oh, did you see that article?
You're proving our point.
There was an article that was like, Karen, using the word Karen or the term Karen is like a slam, like using the N word, and people are like,
no, it's really not.
What are you talking about?
Not even close.
Not at all.
Not
it's
even
a
close.
Personality.
Yeah,
not even close.
It's again, it's like, you know, you can change that, and you can't really change the other thing. Like, you know, it's like, not to, I'll say it, not just like the whole Blue Lives thing. It's like, you can not be a cop, just you can take off the shirt. It's a t-shirt. You know, black people can't stop being black. Like it's not even the same argument.
Right.
Not even
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, fucking Karens deserve everything they get because here's why, and I'll tell you exactly why. If you don't have empathy, enough empathy to realize that you are not the only person in a restaurant full of, you know, 20, 30, 50, 60 people, depending on sizes, and that if you can't understand that this restaurant is, you are a number to them essentially, and that this waiter has seen 30 of you in their shift and that they forgot your ranch dressing. If you don't have empathy for that, you are just probably not a good person in my eyes. Like if you can't understand why your actions to treat this person horribly, you probably treat everybody horribly. So I think they get what they deserve, because if you're going to act like an asshole in that situation, then you are an asshole and you deserve for the entirety of the internet to come after you.
The entirety of
the
internet.
entirety. Oh, the World Wide Web.
The World Wide Web.
I just don't get it, because it's like I've snapped at people before, and it's usually because I'm going through something, but I've recognized that that's just was not right on my part. But I've never, like, you know, you try not to send things back. Like if it's still edible, like this is my favorite one. Restaurant week. So it's DTLA, and these 3 women at Faith, 2 of them got the steak dish and 1 got a salmon, right? So it went like position 1 was a medium rare, position 2 was a medium well, and then the salmon, whatever. And so I get called over there. I flag down from them after they get their food, and the medium rare was like, my steak's overcooked. And, oh, I'm so sorry. How'd you want medium rare? I'm like, yeah, that's clearly not. And then the woman next to her says, my steak's undercooked. So essentially, the runner swapped them. And I go, oh, it looks like you guys got each other's steak. And then she goes, yeah, we'd like new steaks. And I just wanted to be able to go, there you go. Now you have the right one. But they wanted, so I had to go back to my kitchen and tell my chef that they want.
Go into the kitchen, door flops open, switch them, door flops out.
Yeah.
I think Lily's soul just died a little bit right now.
It did. Like, as you said, I was like, are they going to waste the steaks?
Lily doesn't waste food.
I don't even care.
Yeah.
I don't even care. I'm definitely one of those that I'm like, I'll survive. It's edible. I just eat it.
I'm the same way. If it's edible, I'll eat it. If I ask for something mid rare and you're sending me out something mid well and it's not like a hockey puck, I'll eat it. I mean, if it's a hockey puck, I'm having you recook it because it's not edible. But there is a broad spectrum of edible, in my opinion. So it's like,
of course, especially whenever I would love those where it's like, how do you eat your steak? And someone's like, if you eat it like this, there's something wrong with you. And I'm like, you mean normal? Medium rare steak? Yeah. But they choose like the tire. at the end. I'm like, that's so chewy and there's no flavor. And
Yeah.
My favorite.
That's why there's steak sauce.
Because I'm a vegetarian, whenever I would eat at Clayton's, Eric would always come out and check my burger. He would like have a flashlight and just be like, I got to make sure you got the right one.
Well, okay. For some context, you didn't get your Beyond Burger with the setup the Beyond Burger comes in. You got it you got a cheeseburger. So when you put cheese over it, it looks like a burger.
And again, I helped by
He's like, hold on.
I helped by putting bacon on mine. So I was like, got bacon on it. It's clearly for me. It's for me.
Yeah. I just didn't know, like, sometimes a cook might have, there's a bunch of burgers there. I just want to make sure that.
Yeah. No, I always appreciate it.
Yeah. Before you, I was her tester when we went anywhere.
It's like, just like,
it was just like, try it. I'm like, bye. I'm like, that's not meat. That's yours.
Yeah. Gina has that for me. She'll like, does this taste bad to you? Like, and I'm like, no, it's fine. It's like always like, is this gamey to you? I'm like, no, it tastes like it's supposed to taste. But yeah.
Just needs to happen.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, look, I think ultimately, hopefully customers kind of realize it now that, my concern is that like they've been missing us for so long that they're going to treat us. They're just going to have like 5 months of being Karen stored up, and it's just going to be an eruption of, crappy customers. That's my fear. I don't actually think that's going to happen, but you never know. But I think that hopefully, like, as people have seen that our industry is so integral to people's lives, and that's why they want us open. They want to go out. They want to be served. And I think hopefully, we get treated in kind, and people, realize that the job's hard, and, you guys, when you're back out there, you're putting yourselves at risk, and, that hopefully people tip, because that's kind of
the other thing I'm a little concerned about, like, this whole cashless society, because as bartenders, you've been there, like, you've had a couple of drinks, you get your change, and you're like, just keep it.
Yep.
You toss the cash, right?
Yep.
We make decent tips.
Yep.
But if you have to actually physically write a denomination, I think our tips are going to go down substantially. I really do, without cash.
That and the fact that they won't be able to have the same experience of being able to sit directly in front and talk to the bartender, so they feel like it was worth that experience, that they add a little extra. It's going to be someone just hands you things, and then it's just like, all right, I'll tip like the bare minimum because they just gave me my stuff and I didn't get to talk to them.
In order to like counteract that, is like, I'm planning when Clayton's reopen, is that there's going to be a service charge on all transactions that goes to the staff. Like, call it hazard pay, call it what you want, but if we're being contactless, like, where as society we have to change the way we do service, and so at a restaurant you're not going to have a waiter standing by you and waiting over you and making sure you get the full experience. It's because that puts them at risk. It puts you at risk. And it's like, you're going to get a hands-off approach, which is pretty much like, what can I get you? Here's the menu. Let me know when you're ready. I'm going to disappear. You flag me down.
You're going to have like everyone on their phone in a Zoom meeting. That's talking why so many to the bartender while they're inside.
Go to bars in the first place is to seek friendship or conversation or
therapy.
Oh my God, I got a shot with the bartender. That was so cool. Like this interaction and this sense of belonging.
Yeah.
I've said in the past, I'm like, if you want to pay us, when I was a bartender, so you want to pay me $35 an hour, you can run a restaurant that has no tips in it. Like, I'm fine, but you can't afford to do that. So the customer kind of pays my salary through tipping. And that's just kind of how it is. And I don't see that changing anytime soon, unfortunately, through all this. I think it's actually going to be harder to get 40 hours a week in places because the employers are going to be struggling that much more to kind of, it's either cost is going to go way up on like your Jack Daniels is going to go from like $9, $10 to $15 because they got to make money. And that we don't want that to happen because the customers then won't spend money.
Yeah.
So something's going to have to give. So that's why I'm like, we've tried it a couple times here in LA, but I'm just putting a service charge on the bill. Man, if you're going to complain about it, you can fuck right off and not ever come back. And I'll be more than happy to tell customers that, because it's a new age. I realize that when we do get a chance to open back up, that us as, bars and restaurants, it's not so much that we're lucky that a customer came in. Like that's how it used to be. We're so lucky that you came in. We're so thankful you came in and you chose us out of all the places. Now it's like, you're lucky I'm open. So, and you're lucky that I'm giving you a little bit of that, what you were missing for 5 months.
But so this is how we're going to do it now.
Exactly. This is now the rules, and you have to, if you don't like it, just go take your business somewhere else, because it's not worth the risk at this point.
And I know, Brian's mentioned that he's been having, a little bit of pushback.
Oh yeah.
He's, as the owner of the S&D, he's been so wonderful and so meticulous about, his social distancing, and the tables are all spread apart. They sanitize literally everything, the chairs, everything at all the stations. Yeah. But there are still people that come in and give them attitude. He's done 78 doubles in a row now.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're breaking their backs over there trying to make sure that, taking that extra step, walking that extra 6 feet to times 4 tables, sanitizing everything. Like, it takes so much longer.
Yeah.
And people just aren't realizing it. You know, they're expecting service the way it was before.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it's not possible right now.
Yeah.
It's not. And hopefully it comes back, but I'm hoping, that's why I kind of ask people, can I get some perspective of what they would change? Because I think it's going to change. So it's like, we get a chance to figure it out as we're going along here and change it in a way that benefits everybody and keeps us safe, and keeps customers somewhat happy. Because there is going to be that difference of that hands-on, that, that bartender's touch, so to speak, is going to kind of be a little harder to come by, and it's going to be a little bit more conveyor belty and just kind of like you're in and you're out. Because one, they're limiting how many drinks you can serve somebody now, and so that means people can't hang out all day at a bar. I think happy hours might be done. Honestly, I just don't see the point in happy hours, because happy hours where somebody would sit at your bar for like 3 hours, 2-3 hours, and they would
the early shift, right, when people, you couldn't get anyone else in the bar, so you lower the prices a little bit,
and you wanted longevity instead of volume, because you knew you weren't going to get the volume of it, because it is an early time. So you want somebody sitting there knocking back drinks, so when happy hour is over, they're still wanting to hang out and buy stuff. But now it's like they might not let us to have people. And right now, you don't want people there for hours because they're taking up a seat, and I only have a limited amount of seats. So have your drinks and get out, which is going to be tricky, I think, for some customers to be okay with. And it's also going to be kind of weird for some people.
That would be hard if falls opened up. Like, there's so many locals that legitimately sit there from the moment they, like, at 5 o'clock when we open, they're like, "Hey, Lauren, hey, Lily," and they sit there and they're there till we close at 2.
Yep.
So the fact that it would be like, "Love you, but you've been here for 3 hours. You got to get up because someone needs to sit down." Like it sucks. They can't do that.
They would have the argument of, "Oh, well, I'm still buying drinks. I'm still paying. Like, what's my dollar? How is it different than their dollar?"
I know it's tricky
argument.
And unfortunately, it's things that we, as like managers, not quite business owners, but managers, we have to figure out, because we're not getting a lot of guidance from from the city. And
I was like, you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, on that cheery note, no, but seriously, I'm so happy to have you guys on the show. I think you two are both awesome, and you're like two of the cooler people I know. I know that before Lily started working at Clayton's, like, you guys and your crew were kind of like in my head, if I can get them to come over, and they choose this instead of, Falls Spring Street, which is convenient, then I actually have something that's like a winnable, bar and restaurant.
Started little by little, they'd trickle over here and there and come over. Eric would be like, "Yes." And then they'd walk out after an hour and he's like, "Damn it."
Now they're going back
them
there.
To stay all night. But they were just like, but it's also the sad divide of the couples of, we visited Lily, now we got to go see Lauren.
Yeah. I would go there on my break. And I was like, I got to go back.
Yeah. So it was like, we have to divide our love. That's our favorite bartenders.
Or someone be mad.
Or Lauren would be like, "So-and-so's here." I'm like, "Tell them to come see me."
They're already on their way. They just closed out.
I mean, yeah. Again, it kind of just all comes back to the community. Like, it's a lot of us are in the industry together, and so there's that community, and then I have all our friends who live downtown and work downtown, and I, I've worked, and you've worked in like Hollywood too, Lauren. It's not necessarily the same thing. I know like Cahuenga has a community, but it's not anything like downtown.
Nothing is.
No, it's its own beast.
Yeah.
So, hey, hopefully soon we can, we're back at it. But until then, I will look forward to our Zoom happy hours and. Okay.
God, no.
Like, yeah, my drink is gone.
I actually went full.
I gotta make a drink.
I went full restaurant today with my deli cup full of water.
The moment you sipped at it, I'm like, Eric, where's that big container you always brought to work that always had your water?
I have to wash it. When I went to the beach, I poured a beer in it, and so it's just like I rinsed it out, but it still tastes like beer, So yeah. All right. Well. All right, that's pretty much it. I don't know. We'll end it on there. Beer in a water canister. Well, thank you for watching, everybody. Lily, Lauren, thank you for coming on. This has been another episode of Corner, Memoirs of the Service Industry. And as always, my name is Eric Cachopo. If you liked it, please leave a comment and a thumbs up and subscribe and all the likes and stars and all the stuff on all the platforms. I really appreciate it. Yeah. So thank you again. And yeah, guys, we'll talk to you next time. All right. Thanks. Bye.